Now we'll be discussing the Proviso 43.1 that deals with the treatment of the cash payment in the acquisition of asset. So this Proviso deal with the buyer angle, but there is another section that deal with the seller angle. So we'll be discussing both. So buyer angle, what this section Proviso says that 43.1 Proviso says that you had incurred a capital expenditure for the acquisition of an asset. Okay, that is first thing. The second, in respect of that, you had made a payment to a single person in a single day. Okay, the payment has been made otherwise than account pay check and account pay DD. Means you had not made the payment in account pay check or account pay DD, all the e-transfer. Means nutshell, you had made a payment in a cash. And that payment exceeds the 10,000. Exceeds the 10,000, exactly equal to 10,000 is fine. If that payment exceeds the 10,000, then full of such capital expenditure should be ignored for the calculation of block of asset. Correct, for the calculation of actual cost. Means nutshell, on such a capital expenditure, you won't get a depreciation. That is a simple concept over here. If you had acquired an asset with a cash payment exceeds the cash payment amount exceeds 10,000 in a day to a single person, then that part of the cost, correct, should be ignored for the purpose of calculation of block of asset. Are you clear with this? The same thing has been saying by that. Where the assessee incur any expenditure for the acquisition of an asset for which the payment has been made to a person, or the aggregate amount of payment has been made to a single person in a day, and that exceeds 10,000, and the payment has been made otherwise than account pay check and account pay DD, then such expenditure shall be ignored for the purpose of determining of actual cost of the asset. It means that you won't get depreciation on that part of the asset because the actual cost would be considered as a nil for the purpose of depreciation. Are you clear with it? Next, from the seller angle, I told you that there is another section, that is a 269T. It says that the person should not accept the cash more than or equal to 2 lakh. In the buyer exceeds the 10,000, then the proviso is applicable. But 269 ST says it should not be equivalent to 2 lakh. Correct? You should not accept the cash from a single person in a year. 10,000 limit is a per day. Correct? The 2 lakh limit is for a year. It should not be equal or more than 2 lakh during the year. Correct? If you had accepted a cash payment more than that, then what would happen? It is in a violation of 269T and there would be a penalty under section 271DA. What is the penalty amount? It is an equivalent of the amount of the cash accepted by you. So whatever the amount of cash you do accept in excess of or exactly equal to 2 lakh during the year from a single person, the full amount would be considered as your penalty. Have you clear with the buyer and seller? I'll give a small example to have a better understanding of it. For an example, there is a machinery that you had purchased for the 4 lakh on the 1st of Feb 2020. On the same day, you had made a payment in a cash 5,000. You had paid a 5,000 10 times in a day to a person. Correct? In a day, 5,000 10 times. Each time you had paid a 5,000. Correct? So ultimately in a day, how much amount you had paid? 50,000. So that exceeds the 10,000 in a day. Correct? So you are violating, sits into the Proviso 43.1 and the 43.1 says that it cannot be become part of the actual cost. Clear with it? Because the cash payment exceeds in a day to a single person 10,000. Clear with it? Next, after that, every day you had paid a 10,000 rupees for next 15 days. Okay. So you had paid 1,50,000 through the check. But that check was a bearer check. First you had paid a 5,000 in a day for 10 times. Correct? In a cash. Second, you had paid a bearer check of 10,000 each day but. Correct? After that for the 15 days. and the balance 2 lakh you had paid with the account paid check. So there are three. First 50,000 you had paid in a single day, 5,000 रुपए, 10 बजे 5,000 रुपए, 11 बजे 5,000, 12 o'clock you had paid 5,000, 1 o'clock 5,000, like that in a 10 times in a day you had paid a 5,000. Okay, so ultimately you in a single day you had paid a 50,000 to the person. Second, you had paid a bearer check of 10,000 for next 15 days, correct? But the check amount was a 10,000 and that was on a bearer check. And last amount that you had paid a 2 lakh account paid check. Have you got it? So for the Proviso 43(1), what is the limit? The account paid check or account paid DD, otherwise than the account paid check or account paid DD, amount should exceeds the 10,000. So first 50,000 would be come under the Proviso 43(1), that should not be become part of the actual cost. Second one, 10,000 का ही check दिया, 10,000 चलेगा? Yes, 10,000 is applied. It should not exceed the 10,000. So the bearer check is of amounted to rupees 10,000, and each day I not exceeded the 10,000. So I am not violating the Proviso. Correct. So this Proviso won't be applicable to me. I am not made on a cash payment or the bearer check payment more than 10,000 in a day. So this is fine enough. And last one, I had made an account pay check. So what will be the actual cost of the asset in my books of block of asset? The actual cost of the asset would be 3.5 lakh. Because the first 50,000 you had made in a cash in a single day, that cannot be considered a part of the cost. So in a block, I will be adding only 3.5 lakh as a cost of the asset. And I will get the depreciation only on the 3.5 lakh. Clear with it? Now from the seller angle, how much cash or the bearer check amount the seller has received during whole year? 50,000 पहले का cash और फिर bearer check से 1.5 lakh रुपए. Correct, 10,000 for the next 15 days. So I got in a 1,50,000 through the bearer check and the cash of the 50,000. So ultimately the seller had received a 2 lakh in the cash. Have you got it? So he had received a 2 lakh in a cash. So he is violating 269 ST, and violation ka penalty amount is, it's exactly equal to the what are the amount that you had received in a cash or cash equivalent. Cash equivalent means bearer check or bearer account pay, bearer DD. Correct. So in this case, exactly 2 lakh also violates the provision of 269T. So the seller would be liable to give a penalty equivalent with the amount of the cash accepted, and that is equivalent with the 2 lakh. Hopefully understood this. There is a question in your module, so we'll do that also. There is an illustration 8 in your book. The computation of the depreciation under section 32 for the assessment year 1920 from the following information. The WD of the plant and machinery, the block belongs to the 15% category, and the value as on the 1st April 2018 was a 10 lakh. You had been asked to calculate the depreciation for the assessment year 1920 means for 1819 previous year. So the opening WDV value is 10 lakh. The plant had been acquired during the year on the 10th of July for the 5 lakh. The 1 lakh has been paid in a cash to a vendor. Correct. And the balance amount has been paid through the account paid check or the DD. Next, such plant was put to use on the same day. On the 10th of July, you had purchased. On the same day, you had put to use the asset. The assessor is engaged in the business of manufacturing of the industrial plant. Why this information is given manufacturing? If the person is engaged in the manufacturing and purchase the plant and machinery, then what you get? You get an additional depreciation that has not been given, but clearly it has not been mentioned, but you do know that you will get the additional depreciation as well. So the opening WDV is how much? The opening WDV is a 10 lakh. 10 lakh is the opening WDV. Addition during the year, we do have a 2 category put to use for more than 180 days and less than 180 days. In this case, the asset has been purchased on the 10th of July and the put to use also on the same date. Correct. So you will get the full rate. Additional that is a put to use for more than 180 days. So addition during the year 5 lakh. So I will be claiming a depreciation on a 5 lakh. Is it correct? No. Why? Out of that, 1 lakh has been paid in a cash and the Proviso 43(1) would be applicable. It says that if you had made a payment in a cash to a single person in a single day, if the amount exceeds the 10,000, that part of the cost should be ignored for the purpose of actual cost. So I had made a 1 lakh payment in a cash. So 1 lakh cannot be considered as a part of the actual cost. So actual cost would become a 4 lakh, not the 5 lakh. So how much is the now value of the block? 14 lakh. Now I need to calculate the depreciation on the 14 lakh. So there is no asset put to use for less than 180 days. So straightway the 15% depreciation and additional depreciation. It has not been specified that this manufacturing unit is situated in notified backward area. So I will assume the additional depreciation would be available at the rate of 20%. So the normal depreciation at the rate of 15% and additional depreciation at 20%. So 14 lakh ke upar 15%, the normal depreciation comes to 2 lakh 10,000. Additional depreciation 20% पूरे block पे मिलता है? No, only the asset which I acquired during the year, on that you will get the additional depreciation. So asset acquired during the year is of a 4 lakh. Actual asset value is of 5 lakh, but 1 lakh will be ignored because you had made a cash payment exceeding amount of 10,000. So 4 lakh per 20%. So you will get the additional depreciation of 80,000. Have you clear? And both the amount would be reduced from your WDV, and next year WDV would be 11 lakh 10,000. Have you clear with it? Good. It was a very easy one. Next, there are various explanation has been given to the 43(1). That are the different explanation. I will go through it fast. Try to understand on it. Explanation for the actual cost of the asset. In that, the first. So there are 3 column heading. The number talks about the explanation number, mode of acquisition, and then what would be the actual cost of the asset. In that, the first one, if the asset has been acquired for the scientific research, this section will be discussing in detail after depreciation, that is a section 35. What is it for? If the asset has been acquired for the purpose of scientific research, you will get 100% deduction. So obviously if you are getting 100% deduction, you won't get a depreciation. You had purchased that as asset for the scientific use, but later on you had shifted for your normal business. It could happen. I had purchased a plant and machinery for the scientific use, but afterward that plant and machinery are not useful for the scientific. For example, computer is used for the computer I had purchased for the scientific research, and later on that computer I am using for my general business. Correct. So now that would be added to your block of asset. Correct. Until unless you are using for the scientific research, there is nothing to concern with the depreciation, nothing to concern with the 43(1). But as soon as you are using it for your normal business, then it should be added to your block of asset. But already you have taken 100% deduction on that. Correct. So you should not get any depreciation. Agreed. So that the reason the actual cost of the such asset would be considered as a nil for the block. So what is use of adding to the block then? Whenever you will sell it out such an asset, correct, the sell proceeding would be reduced from that block. That the reason it is need to be added to the block. Next, this was the first explanation number 1. This is a 1A. If the inventory has been converted into the capital asset, we had been discussed this under the section 28 chargeability. When the inventory has been converted into the capital asset, it comes under the chargeability, and the fair market value of the asset is taxable under section 28. Correct. So now this says that once it has been shifted from your inventory to the capital asset, so now it become added to your block of asset. And what will be considered actual cost of the asset? Correct? The fair market value. The fair market value would be considered as an actual cost. I will give example for this. I had purchased this stock in trade for the 9 lakh. So in my opening stock, 9 lakh is there. Correct? Yeah, otherwise it would be there under my purchases on the debit side of P&L. This year, I had converted that stock into the capital asset. Correct? So what would happen now? So the fair market value as on the date of the conversion is suppose 12 lakh. I had purchased at a 9 lakh, and the 12 lakh would be considered as my income, because already 9 lakh has been debited to P&L. So ultimately 3 lakh would be taxable. But in the P28 what it says that full 12 lakh, the fair market value would be taxable. Now talk from the angle of the depreciation. Now that it become my capital asset, I had acquired the capital asset now. So that capital, the date on which the conversion taken place, that would be considered as a date of the acquisition of the capital asset. Correct. So this would be added to my block. At what value? The fair market value. Means in my block, it would be added at a 12 lakh. Have you got it? I will get now the depreciation on a 12 lakh. First, it will be treated as my income under section 28, 12 lakh, and 12 lakh would be allowed as me cost of acquisition under the block on which I will get the depreciation. Next, asset acquired by way of gift or inheritance. In such cases, actually the cost of acquisition would be considered, there will be no cost of acquisition, it will be nil, na? But it says no, the actual cost would be the cost to the previous owner minus his depreciation allowed to him. Means nutshell WDV of the previous owner. Means suppose A had gifted the property to the B. So what is the cost of acquisition to the B? Whatever is the WDV to the A is become a cost of acquisition to the B. Are you clear with it? The next, explanation 3. Asset acquired at a higher price. That is basically what happened with the second hand asset. I had purchased a car second hand in a market. Correct. So there could be a chances I could manipulate it. For an example, that is my relative. So I would purchase at a higher price. So car I'd acquire from a relative at the higher price. Correct. So what would be the benefit of this? I will get the depreciation at a higher amount. Correct. So in such cases, if the asset has been acquired at a higher price with view to claim a depreciation on a higher side, then the AO, assessing officer, have a right to determine what is in a fair value of the asset. Correct. You may acquire at a higher price, but that won't be considered as your cost of acquisition. Next, if asset belong to the assessee, assessee sold the asset to the B. For an example, asset belonged to the A had sold to the B and later on again reacquired by the A. ऐसा क्यों किया? Why he had done ulta pulta? I would give an example, then you will understand better. A is having a short-term capital loss of the 10 lakh, which is in the last year to get a set-off. Generally, the losses can be carried forward up to the 8 years. If you don't set off in the 8 year, it will lapse. You will have to forget the loss. So the assessee having a loss of a 10 lakh. So what he had planned it out, he had transferred his block of asset, which WTV is 2 lakh at the 12 lakh. So there is a short-term capital gain of 10 lakh. Correct. That short-term capital gain will be set off with the short-term capital loss. Okay, so जो loss का last year था, it got set off. Now from that B, he had again acquired at a 14 lakh. देखो, WDV was 2 lakh, sold at a 12 lakh and reacquired at a 14 lakh. Now he can claim the depreciation on a 14 lakh. So he got benefited ना. एक तो उसका loss का lapse हो रहा था, that also got used and now he could able to get the depreciation on a 14 lakh. So in such cases, department says no, it could not be possible. Income tax says no, such a manipulation could not be possible. It says that the WDV at the time of the original transfer or the price at which you had reacquired it. The price, the WDV in my books of account at the time of transfer and the price at which I had reacquired it, whichever is lower. So in our example, the WDV was a 2 lakh. I had reacquired a 14 lakh. So whichever is lower is considered as my cost of acquisition. So how much is my cost of acquisition? 2 lakh. Have you got it? So that tax planning has no use because of this explanation. Next explanation. If the asset has been acquired by the assessee from the other person, correct, the second person, again the same example I repeat, A had sold the asset to the B, correct, and B had given on a lease to the A. Explanation number 4 talks about the purchase back, na? So I had not purchased, I had taken back on the lease. Then what would happen? It says that the WDV in the books of the transferor would become actual cost of acquisition for the B. Correct. For the B, what will be the cost of acquisition? Whatever is the WDV to A. So in this case, what was the WDV to the A? The WDV was a 2 lakh. He had transferred it to 1 lakh. Correct. So the 12 lakh cannot be considered as a cost of acquisition. The 2 lakh could be considered as a cost of acquisition. Are you clear with this explanation? So hopefully clear with that. There are too many. We'll be discussing it one by one. The next one is all about the building. Building, it is explanation 5. Please do remember this explanation 5 is applicable only for the building. It is not applicable for any other asset. So building used for the private purpose or you had purchased as an investment. You are not using for the business. So you won't be claiming a depreciation, and later on you had shifted. You are using it for your business. Not any other asset, not the car, not the computer, not any other asset. This is applicable only for the building. The building is used for the private purpose, and later on it has been used for the business purpose. So the cost of acquisition, correct, minus the depreciation would have been allowed if it is used for the business purpose. This is the only asset in a block, assuming, correct. Matlab simply you do calculate the WDV of such asset, and that would become a cost of acquisition for the business. Now if it is in a motor car, then the original cost, actual cost. But अगर building है तो क्या होगा? Actual cost minus the depreciation that would have been allowed minus करके the WDV would become a actual cost. Next, if the asset has been transferred by the holding to the subsidiary, there is a condition need to be satisfied. Then for the subsidiary, what will be the cost of acquisition? The cost of acquisition would be the WDV to the holding. Correct. But WDV कब का? WDV at the beginning of the year is to be taken it out. Not as on date of transfer. WDV in the hands of the holding company at the beginning of the previous year. The same is applicable to the vice and versa, subsidiary to the holding. What is the condition over here? The subsidiary should be a 100% subsidiary. Well, all the shares of the subsidiary should be held by the holding, and the transferee should be an Indian company. Means if holding to subsidiary transaction is there, the subsidiary should be Indian company. If subsidiary to the holding transaction, the holding should be an Indian company. Then only this section would be applicable. Matlab the price at which it has been transferred hardly matter. What matters? WDV in the books of a holding company at the beginning of the previous year. Matlab in my books of account, if the holding is having a WDV at the beginning is a 10 lakh, the such assets had been transferred at 14 lakh to the subsidiary. But for the subsidiary, what would we consider the cost of acquisition? 10 lakh. WDV as on the first day of the previous year in the books of holding. The next is this is all about the holding to subsidiary. The next is in the case of the amalgamation. Again, same. Whatever the WDV at the beginning of the year in the hands of amalgamating company. Just like on that. Demerger to resulting, again the same. Whatever the actual cost less the depreciation, that is the WDV in the hands of the demerger, it become a cost of acquisition for the resulting company. If the transfer company is not claiming a depreciation, then their actual cost would become a cost for the transferee. If they are claiming a depreciation, then WDV. If they are not claiming the depreciation, then their actual cost would become cost to the transferee. There are more explanation. Do you understand? It's too many. Next, asset has been acquired through the borrowing. Correct. But if asset has not put to use immediately after its acquisition, means for an example, there are certain assets it required time for installation. There is a construction required or site preparation things are required. So in such cases, I had already borrowed the funds. So what about their interest? The interest cost up to put to use, it should be added to the actual cost. That is all about the explanation 8. Next, explanation 9. Asset is acquired, and on that asset there was a GST levy. Means on the invoice price, in invoice there was a GST amount. So what would be the cost of acquisition along with the GST or without a GST? For an example, the cost of acquisition is a 10 lakh and there is a GST amount of 1 lakh. So what is my cost of acquisition? Whether it is a 10 lakh or a 11 lakh. If I am claiming a credit of a GST or the GST credit is available to me under the GST Act and I am claiming it, then my actual cost would be 10 lakh. If I am not claiming on a GST credit, then the 11 lakh would become my cost of acquisition. Next, if there has been subsidy given, that is explanation 10, If the subsidy is there, then subsidy amount should be reduced from the cost of the asset. But if the subsidy is related to the 3 assets, it is not related to one asset, then that subsidy should be apportionment to all the asset in proportion of the cost of the asset. That is all about the explanation 10. Next, if the non-resident had used certain asset outside India, he bought into the India, now he is using in India for his business purpose. Correct? So what would be all the asset? And this is not applicable only to the building. This is applicable for all. Non-resident के लिए all. Correct? For others, only the building private se personal mein. Building had been used for the private purpose and then it has been business. Then you should take out the WDV. Otherwise, you should take a actual count. But for the non-resident, it says that any asset if non-resident had been bought from outside India and using outside India and bought to the India and using in India for the business purpose, then the cost of acquisition less the depreciation would have been allowed if it has been used in India from the beginning. Are you clear with it? So that basically it is a WDV. Next, if the 35AD asset, what is a 35AD asset? Already this point was there under the chargeability. 35AD is an asset bought for the specified businesses. 100% deduction is available over there. If such an asset has been transferred, correct, then to the general businesses, then the actual cost of the asset should be considered as nil because already it has been 100% deduction has been allowed under section 35AD. We'll be having detailed discussion on this at the time of 35AD. Next, conversion of the company into the LLP. A kind of amalgamation only. What is the cost of acquisition to the company? Whatever is a WDV in the hands of the company should be taken out. WDV in the hands of the company at the time of the conversion is to be considered the cost of acquisition for the LLP. It's very simple. Amalgamation ho या फिर what was that? Holding to subsidiary or conversion to the company into the LLP. In all these cases, what is the cost of acquisition? WDV to the WDV of transfer. It become a cost to the transfer. Clear with it? Now, illustration 5. Dr. R had purchased a house property on the 1st of December 2016 for the 10 lakh. Till the 1st December 2018, the same was self-occupied as a residence. On this date, the building was bought into the use for the business purpose. Means he had purchased, he had purchased the property on the 1st of December 2016 and on the 1st December 2018, from that date, it has been used for his medical profession. Till that time, it has been used for his residence purpose. Next, on that day, the building was bought into the use for the purpose of his medical profession. What would be the depreciation allowable for the assessment year 1920? Means for the previous year 1819. Try to understand the building has been used in the year 1617 and the 1718 for the personal purpose. And the later on, after the 2 year almost, it has been used for the business purpose. If you do remember, there is an explanation 5 of the 43.1. It says that if the building has been used for the private purpose, correct, a personal purpose, and later on introduced to business, then the cost of the acquisition of a building should be reduced with the notional depreciation for the period for which the asset was personally used by the assessee. Correct. So in this case 1617, the asset has been used by the assessee or the Mr. Dr. R for his personal purpose. So you need to reduce the notional depreciation for the 1617 and the 1718 from the cost of acquisition. Then whatever the WDV you will get after reducing the notional depreciation, that would become actual cost for the professional. Correct. In the block of asset of the profession, the building would be added at the value of the WDV after reducing the notional depreciation from the actual cost. Do remember, this clause is not applicable for any other asset. The explanation 5 is applicable only for the building. If instead of the building, if it is an example of the motor car, then the cost of acquisition in the book of profession would be 10 lakh only. but ये बिल्डिंग होने से I will reduce the notional depreciation for the 16-17 and the 17-18. Now look at it as 16-17. The asset is put to use on purchase on the 1st of December 2016. So the asset is put to use for less than 180 days. For the 16-17, the rate of the depreciation would be half of the prescribed. Correct? What about the 17-18? There would be a full depreciation. Next, look out now 18-19. ये notional depreciation है, and the 18-19 actual depreciation available to the professional income. Correct? Professional PGBP में in his professional income calculation you will get the actual depreciation for the year 18-19. So for that, first you need to take it out a WDV. How to calculate the WDV? Actual cost minus the notional depreciation for the year for which the asset has been used for the personal purpose. You got the WDV. Now reduce your depreciation for the 18-19. Correct? Because that year the asset has been used for the business purpose. Now look it out when the asset has been used for the business purpose or the professional on the 1st of December 2018. So 18-19 may put to use for less than 180 days. Agreed 100%. But to get a half, there are two conditions. What are the two conditions? Purchase during the year, and in the same year the asset has been put to use for the less than 180 days. Both the conditions need to be satisfied together, then only the half rate would be applicable. So when it has been used for the business, correct, but asset was not acquired in 18-19. The asset was acquired in 16-17, and in 18-19 for the business purpose asset is put to use for less than 180 days. So one of the condition has been satisfied. So half rate won't be applicable for the 18-19. Hopefully clear with the question. I will do the now calculation. The rate of the depreciation for the building is at 10%. The cost of the building is, it is at 10 lakh. The depreciation for the 16-17 and 17-18. For 16-17, you will take half of the prescribed rate. So how much is your prescribed rate? 10%. So the half meant it is come to the 5% on the 10 lakh. So the rate depreciation amount would be 50,000. So how much would be the WDV? 10 lakh minus the notional depreciation for the 16-17. It amounts to 50 lakh. So the WDV become a 9,50,000. Next, notional depreciation for the 17-18. It is a 10%, so 95,000. So the WDV become 8,55,000. This 8,55,000 is a WDV in the hands of a profession. Correct? In the block of the profession, correct? The 8,55,000 would be added to the actual cost. Correct? The 10 lakh won't be considered an actual cost for the purpose of depreciation. Correct? 8,55,000 will be considered as an actual cost for the profession. So 8,55,000 you will get the depreciation for the profession in a professional income calculation, that is at the 10%. So 85,500 would be the depreciation that would be available for the previous year 18-19 and the assessment year 19-20, and that was the only question. How you clear with it? It's very simple. Explanation 5 is applicable only for the building. Hopefully clear with this. So we'll go with the next question. Illustration 6. What this talks about? Roshan started as a business designing on the 1st of April 2017. Okay. Then later on what had happened? He had acquired the laptop on the same date for the 50,000. Okay. He had started his business on the same date. He had taken out the laptop. Okay. Since his gross total income in the year 17-18 was just 55,000, is less than the basic exemption, so he had not filed the ROI. That could be fine enough. There is no consequences of that. During the previous year 18-19, his business income before the depreciation was 5,60,000. So he is required to file an ROI. So now he wanted to ask you, please compute the depreciation on behalf of him, assuming the following three scenario. The first scenario is maintaining the books of accounts from the 1st April itself. मतलब जब से business start किया 17-18 से, from that year he had been maintaining the books of account, but he did not claim the depreciation. Correct? Second, he is maintaining the books of account, but he had claimed the depreciation only of 8,000, and the last year at all does not maintain the books of account. If you do remember, in the first slides of the 32 depreciation, I told you that depreciation shall be allowed. What is mean by shall be allowed? It is not an optional thing. You will have to claim the depreciation every year. Correct? So you maintain the books of account, you don't maintain the books of account, it hardly matters for me. Correct? The depreciation shall be allowed every year at a prescribed rates. Correct? So even you not claim, the WDV will be reduced with the amount of a depreciation. So in any of the three scenario, the answer would be the same. The cost of the laptop would be 50,000. The depreciation for the 17-18 we need to calculate first. Correct? Because you not claim, still income tax says that it will be reduced from your cost of the asset. I told you that time also, 1 year you had claimed the depreciation, another year you say that I don't want a depreciation. That concept is not allowed under the income tax. So the depreciation will be reduced. The depreciation rate would be, it's in a laptop, so depreciation rate is, yes, 40%. So we'll get the 40% depreciation on the 50,000. Asset has been put to use on the 1st April itself. So I'll get the full year depreciation that will come to the 50,000 is the cost of the asset. The rate of the depreciation is 40%. So depreciation for the first year will be 20,000. So how much is the WDV? 30,000. And on that, for the next year, the depreciation at the rate of 40% comes to 12,000. And ultimately, the WDV become a 18,000. How you clear with? Irrespective of the method that you are following, irrespective of that, you will be allowed depreciation that will be reduced from your WD. Are you clear with it? In your book, the answer is something different, but I was not agree with that. That reason I done with this way. Next, illustration 7. What this illustration says that a car has been purchased on the 10th of August 2014, okay, for 3,25,000 for the personal use. Again, this is which explanation? Explanation number 5 of the 43.1. What it says that? It says that if building has been personal use and bought to the business, correct? Whether it talks about any other asset? No. So that clause won't be applicable to you. In this example, the business or the assessee as on the 1st of December 2018, when the market value of the are you clear? Then for the motor car, that clause is not applicable. That is only for the building. A car was purchased and then personal use and then introduced into the business of the assessee as on the 1st December 2018. He had been used almost for a 4 year for his private purpose and then introduced for the business. When its market value is 150, it's hardly matter to you. The market value does not matter to you. Compute the actual cost of the car and the amount of depreciation for the assessment year 1920 means for the previous year 1819. Assuming the rate of the depreciation is a 15%. Okay. So the car, what will be the actual cost of the car? Whether it will be reduced for the depreciation? No, because the clause explanation 5 of the 43.1 is not applicable. So the actual cost would become a 3,25,000. Next, talk about the depreciation. Whether you will get the 15% or you will get half of the 15%. Look it out, the asset has been put to use on the 1st of December 2018. Put to use for less than 180 days, but not purchased during the year, na? So one of the condition has not been satisfied. So half of the prescribed rate won't be applicable. You will get the depreciation at a full rate. So that you will get the depreciation at a 15%. So the depreciation amount would be 48,750. Ultimately, your WDV would be 2,76,250. Are you clear with it? It was very easy. We'll go with the next concept now. Now there are power sector units. For them, they have an option to claim the depreciation, maybe on the WDV basis or WDV and your block of asset concept, which we had seen that was under section 32.1 Roman 2, and they have an option to claim the depreciation on the straight line method, that is your SLM, and there that is an asset wise concept. What is meant by asset wise? There is no concept of a block. Individual asset wise there would be importance. But WDV or the SLM, they have an option. They have to choose among them. And once they're chosen with the SLM, they will have to continue with the SLM. Every year they cannot switch from the WDV to SLM, SLM to WDV. Have to continue with that only. Okay, so SLM basis of depreciation allowed for them how the tax treatment would be there at the time of sale. We'd seen for the block of asset when there will be no depreciation. If there is no asset in a block or no value in a block, then only the section 50 would be applicable, and then only there would be a capital gain. Otherwise, there would be always a depreciation. Correct? In the sale of the single asset won't affect it out until unless there is a value in a block. We don't give any importance to a single asset. We give importance to full block under the WDV method of depreciation. The SLM is something different. Correct? Try to understand it. If the SLM, you are claiming for an example, the original cost of the asset. The original cost of the asset is 10 lakh. And the WDV of the asset is a 8 lakh. The original cost of the asset is 10 lakh and the WDV is 8 lakh. But you are claiming the depreciation of a 2 lakh. Such asset has been sold. Correct? Then how to treat out under the for the depreciation or for the capital gain purpose? Try to understand this concept, very important. So if the sale consideration is higher than the WDV, how much is your WDV? 8 lakh. So it could be greater than 8 lakh or it could be less than 8 lakh. But I am taking the first scenario if it is more than 8 lakh. Correct? It is more than 8 lakh but less than the actual cost. Means it is less than the 10 lakh. So first example, I take it out if the sales consideration is a 9 lakh. Then what would happen? If my sales consideration is a 9 lakh, okay, and the value of the asset is 8 lakh. So it says that the section, definitely there would be a gain. Because the WDV is 8 lakh, you had sold it at 9 lakh. So there is a gain of 1 lakh. The question arises whether it will be taxable under the PGBP or it will be taxable under the capital gain. So PGBP says that I had allowed you deduction. You had purchased at a 10 lakh. How it has been 8 lakh? I had given a deduction of a 2 lakh under the PGBP. Correct? So up to 2 lakh, any gain is there that is to be taxable under the PGBP. If the gain exceeds the 2 lakh, then only it should be taxable under the capital gain. In simple terms, if the net consideration is higher than the WDV but lower than the original cost, correct, then there would be no capital gain. Correct? But if it exceeds the actual cost or the original cost of the asset, what? Your net sale consideration. Correct? So then there would be a capital gain until unless there would be no capital gain. So in this case, there is no question of capital gain. Whatever is the gain of 1 lakh, it should be taxable under the PGBP, and there is a section 41 of a deemed profit. It says that if earlier year I had given a deduction, if there is a recovery of that, then it should be taxable under the PGBP. It is a 41 subsection 2. It talks about it should be taxable under the PGBP. How much is of a gain? Gain is of a 1 lakh. The next, if the net sale consideration is more than the actual cost, means I had received a 12 lakh rupees. Original cost is a 10 lakh and my net sale consideration is suppose 12 lakh. Then what would happen? I got over and above the original cost. So I will calculate the first total gain. I will change the figure. I will take it out the 13 lakh. You will understand better. 13 lakh. So how much is the total gain? 13 lakh and my WDV was 8 lakh. So the total gain of a 5 lakh. Out of that, how much the PGBP had allowed me as deduction? The 2 lakh. So the 2 lakh would be taxable under the PGBP. Actual cost ke upar kitna mila? 3 lakh. So the 3 lakh would be taxable under the capital gain. So there would be a mixture. There would be a short-term capital gain under section 50A. Apna WD method of depreciation, no? The capital gain is under section 50. And if there is a SLM method of depreciation, correct, then the capital gain is taxable under the 50A. So in this case, original cost ke upar, whatever is the sales consideration, that amount is to be taxable under the capital gain. And the next one, whatever the deduction is allowed by the PGBP earlier, if there is a recovery of that, the full amount is to be taxable under the PGBP. So in our example, the 3 lakh is to be taxable under the capital gain and 2 lakh is to be considered as a balancing charge, and that is to be taken as a deemed profit under section 41(2). Are you clear with it? Next, what if the sales consideration is less than the WDV? That could also possible. What it mean by that? If your WDV is 8 lakh and I receive only the 7 lakhs, so there would be loss of 1 lakh. And who would be allowing a loss? The loss would be allowed by the PGBP only. There is no question of capital gain. The 32(1) Roman 3 says that it is to be termed as a terminal depreciation allowed under the PGBP. Are you clear with it? It's actually very simple. If the sales consideration is more than the WDV, correct? So next question you should ask it out. Original cost से ज़्यादा तो नहीं है? If original cost से ज़्यादा है, तो there would be a capital gain. Correct? If it is not, then the remaining amount is whatever the gain is there, that is to be taxable under the PGBP. If there is a loss, then the PGBP will be allowing you terminal depreciation for the loss. In each asset के लिए you need to calculate this. Clear with it? Chalo. There is a question on this part, so it will be more clear. Illustration 4 from your module. The important limit is a power generating unit. On the 1st of April 2016, he had purchased a plant of 50 lakh. It's an actual cost of the asset. Correct. Next, eligible depreciation is 15% on the SLM basis. Compute the balancing charge or maybe the terminal depreciation, assuming that the plant has been sold on the 24th of April 2018. So what कब बेचा आपने? You had been sold in 1819. So first you need to calculate the opening WDV. Correct? WDV as on the 1st of April 2018. So we'll calculate it. You will get the depreciation for how many years? 16, 17, 17, 18. You will get the depreciation for the 2 years. Correct? So we'll do that first. I will write down over here only. So the 50 lakh is a original cost of the asset, and you will need to minus the depreciation for the 2 year at the 15%. So how much the 15% depreciation? That would be 7,50,000. SLM basis of depreciation, every year the depreciation would be same. So 15 lakh minus 50 lakh minus the depreciation of 15 lakh. So how much will become your WDV? That would become a 35 lakh. Have you clear with it? This is the depreciation for the 1670 and this is depreciation for the 1718, and this is a WDV as on the 1st April 2018. And in 1890, you had sold the asset. So first I had calculated the WDV. Have you clear with the WDV of 35 lakh? It's very simple. 15% depreciation. Every year SLM, the depreciation would be the same. So 7.5 lakh would be the depreciation amount. So for the 2 year combined, the depreciation would be 15 lakh. So 50 lakh minus the 15, 35 lakh is your WDV. So WDV is done with. $35 lakh is your WDV. Next talks about the sell proceed. There are 4 options had been given. If it could have been sold at a 7 lakh, it has been sold at a 30 lakh, if it has been sold at a 45 lakh, and if it has been sold at a 55 lakh. So we'll take it out the first. If it has been sold at a 7 lakh 50,000, तो क्या हो गया? You are at a loss. Your value of the asset is a 35 lakh and you had sold only for the 7 lakh 50,000. So the remaining would be what? There would be a loss. I told you that the loss would be treated as a terminal depreciation and allowed under the PGBP itself under section 32 1 Roman 3. So here there would be a terminal depreciation of 27 lakh 50,000. That is a full loss would be allowed under the PGBP itself. Next, if it is a 30 lakh, again there is a loss only. How much is the loss amount? Losses of a 5 lakh. So that would be allowed as a terminal depreciation. Next, if the sale proceeds is 45 lakh, now there is a gain. How much is the gain? Gain of 10 lakh. Correct? How much deduction that PGBP had given you in the last year? Last 2 years, the PGBP had given a 15 lakh का deduction. अभी कितने का gain आया? 10 lakh का. तो PGBP says that first give me back. So it would be taxable under the PGBP. Had allowed you deduction. Now the recovery of that had happened. So you first give it to me. If 15 lakh से ज़्यादा gain आया, then it will go for the capital gain chapter. So this full 10 lakh is taxable as a balancing charge under section 41 subsection 2. Next, if it has been sold for the 55 lakh, sales consideration is more than that. So how much is the gain? 20 lakh. I told you that if the sales consideration is more than the actual cost was a 50 lakh and your sales consideration is a 55 lakh. So actual cost के ऊपर कितना आया? 5 lakh. That is taxable under the short term capital gain. How much has to be taxable under the balancing charge? Total gain 20 lakh का है, उसमें से 5 lakh capital gain में, तो बचा हुआ कहाँ taxable होगा? PGBP में. And the anyway the PGBP had given you deduction of the 15 lakh. So the 15 lakh would be taxable under the PGBP and the 5 lakh would be taxable under the capital gain under section 50A. Have you clear with it? Original cost से whatever extra you receive, that is to be taxable under the head of capital gain. Whatever the deduction PGBP had given, that much sum is to be taxable under the PGBP. If there is a loss, you will get the terminal depreciation. Please remember, this is applicable only for the power sector units, and the power sector unit won't get an additional depreciation. Specifically, it has been given if you are following the SLM basis of depreciation, you won't get an additional depreciation. If the power sector unit is following a WDV method of depreciation, then they will get an additional depreciation on the plant and machinery. Have you clear with it? Good. So we'll go with the next concept. What had happened? There is an amalgamation. Now what had happened? There is a succession or the amalgamation had taken place, or there is an occursion of a demerger, but that has been taken place in between of the year. Correct? If that has been at the beginning of the year, it's very easy. But if that is at the middle of the year, correct? For an example, at the 1st December, there was an amalgamation. Now the question could arise, who will get the depreciation? Whether the A or the B. If the A is amalgamated into the B, so the amalgamating company को depreciation मिलेगा या amalgamated? Correct? Successor को or the predecessor, who will get the depreciation? That could be the question. What is meant by succession? But succession means the firm has converted into the company, proprietorship has converted into the company, or the private limited companies had been converted into the LLP, or any other succession other than the death is to be considered over here. Now the question could arise, who will get the depreciation? So the 32(1) proviso says that the depreciation would be allowed to both of them. Okay. How it could be possible? Yeah, that I want to discuss. The first, it says that depreciation would be allowed to both of them, predecessor or the amalgamating company or the demerged company, and the successor or the amalgamated or the resulting company. Both of them will get the depreciation. First of all, you calculate depreciation as if there has been no amalgamation. You do calculate first the depreciation as if there is no amalgamation had happened. Okay, we had calculated then. If there is no amalgamation, I will calculate depreciation for the full year. If asset is put to use for less than 180 days, I will take a half of the prescribed rate, and that way I had calculated the depreciation, normal, additional depreciation I had calculated. What to do further? It says that depreciation shall be calculated assuming that the succession has not taken place at all. Okay, done with it. The next, the total depreciation amount is need to be allocated between the successor and predecessor. Obviously, it is not of enough. Amalgamating को भी पूरा नहीं मिलना चाहिए, amalgamated को भी पूरा नहीं मिलना चाहिए. The successor should not get the full or the predecessor should not get the full. So it should be allocated between them. It should be distributed between the predecessor and successor. In what ratio? But now it's very simple. The number of days asset used by them. Correct? If out of the 365 days, if the 300 days asset has been used by the predecessor, so total में से 365 days का depreciation should be allocated to the predecessor, and 65 days depreciation should be given to the successor. Correct? So it should be apportionment between both of them in the proportion of the number of days asset used by them. Are you clear with it? Chalo. Then we'll have a question on this part, so we'll have a better understanding of it. Illustration 10 from your module. The Messrs. Siddhant and Company, a sole proprietary concern, is converted into the company. So it is in a form of a succession. The proprietary has been converted into the company, the Siddhant and Company, with effect from the November 29, 2018. It is in between of the year. Try to understand. It is not at the beginning or at the end. It is in between. The WDV of the asset as on the 1st of April in the sole proprietary concern. 1st April 2018 को क्या balances थे? Building, furniture and the plant and machinery. There are 3 blocks and तीनों का opening WDV had been given. Further on the 15th of October 2018, means before the succession. Correct, no? The succession is on the 29th of November. Before that only, on the 15th of October, the Siddharth and the company had purchased a plant for the 1 lakh. What had happened? Try to understand the chart. On the 29th of November, the succession had taken place. कब? 29th of November को. Correct. Before that only, on the 15th of October, a new plant and machinery. Wait. On 29th of November, what had happened? There is a succession. Come on 29th of November. Okay. But on the 15th of October, matlab before succession only, that Siddhant and Company had acquired an asset for the 1 lakh. Okay. Rupees 1 lakh का asset add हुआ. Then यहाँ पे क्या था? ये proprietary concern है. Correct? Then it has been converted into the company. After this date, it has been converted into the company. After the conversion, जो नई company बनी है, he had purchased another plant worth 50,000. Compute the depreciation available to both of them. After the succession, date has not been given, but after the succession, the company, मतलब after the succession, मतलब after 29th of November, he had purchased and put to use the plant. Now the question could arise, how to compute the depreciation. So there are 3 steps. The first, calculate depreciation as if there is no amalgamation or there is no succession. Correct. Then calculate the number of days asset is used by the successor and the predecessor. The third step, allocate the depreciation between both of them. But now there is a question. On this 50,000, whether the proprietary concern will get the depreciation? No. Only the predecessor company's depreciation is to be calculated first. Correct. On this 50,000, only the successor company will get the depreciation. So ये last में लेंगे this 50,000. Correct. Till the time you forget this 50,000. हम पहले देखेंगे if succession had not taken place, तो proprietary concern को how much depreciation would be allowed. क्योंकि उसी के depreciation का allocation करना है. Correct. So first we will calculate it out. If that proprietary concern has not gone for the succession, not converted into the company, then how much amount of depreciation it would have? There are 3 blocks: building, furniture and plant and machinery. So we'll go one by one. The first of all, building. How much is the opening WDV for the building? It's the 3.5 lakh. Correct. For the furniture, it is a 50,000. And for the plant and machinery, it is a 2 lakh. So I need to calculate the depreciation, but we do remember block of concept में क्या करते हैं? Addition during the year less the sell during the year. Correct. So as if the conversion had not taken place, there is no sell. So we'll add any addition. Yes, the proprietary concern has added on the 15th of October. Correct. So put to use for less than 180 days हो गया. Put to use for less than 180 days. Correct. कितना? 1 lakh. It has to be added into the plant value. Now compute the depreciation. There is no sale during the year. So the WDV available for the depreciation would be 3.5 lakh, 50,000, and over here it is a 3 lakh. Now calculate the depreciation. For the building, how much would be the depreciation? 35,000, correct. For the furniture, how much would be the depreciation? 50, rate of the depreciation for the furniture is 10%. So 50,000 by 10%, it would be 5,000. Correct. Plant and machinery ko be careful. On this 2 lakh, you should apply the 15% and on this you should apply 7.5%. Correct. So the total depreciation would be 37,500. Are you clear with this? 2 lakh by 15% comes to 30,000. Correct. Or 1 lakh by 7.5% comes to 7,500. So ultimately it is a 37,500. Are you clear with this, the depreciation? Good. The next step is what? Next step, I do calculate the how many days the asset has been used by the proprietary concern and for how many days it has been used by the successor company. Correct. That is, successor is nothing but over here that company and that proprietary concern. So when it had happened on 29th of November, correct. So do calculate the days from the 1st April to 20th of November. So April ke 30, correct. 31 of May, 30th of June, July ke 31, 31st of August, correct. Then September ke 30th, October ke 31 और November को कब हुआ conversion? On 29, correct. So 28 days of November. So total days asset are used by the sole proprietary concern is how many days the asset is used by him? He had been used the asset. The sole proprietary concern had used an asset for the 242 days, correct, out of the 365 days. And for the 123 days, the asset is used by the, correct, the successor company. 242 days, asset has been used by the proprietary concern and for the 123 days, asset has been used by the company from the 20th of November till the 31st of March. So the depreciation should be allocated between this ratio, correct. So the total depreciation we had computed. So we'll allocate it out. So building के लिए the total depreciation was how much? 50,000, correct. So that 50,000 multiply by proprietary concern को कितना मिलेगा इसमें से? 242 divide by 365. Furniture का भी वैसे ही 5,000 multiply by 242 divide by 365. Correct. The next for the plant and machinery, be careful because there are two types of plant and machinery. One plant and machinery has been used for 123 days, but the another plant and machinery which is addition during the year that you had purchased only on the 15th of October, correct. So that has not been used for 123 days. Have you clear? So just have to carefully observe this. So for the first, that 2 lakh, this same ratio would be applicable. 242 divided by 365, correct. But that whatever the addition during the year of a 1 lakh is there, for that you need to calculate the new ratio. How to calculate the new ratio? From the 15th October to 19th of 28th of November, correct, and then 29th of November to 31st of March. So how many days? Yes, the 45 days the asset has been used by the proprietary concern and the 123 days asset has been used by the company. Have you clear? So ratio में क्या होगा? 45 plus 123. Have you got it? So 1 lakh has to be apportionment between them. So 45 divided by 168. Have you clear with it? Building is very simple, correct. Furniture is very simple. Plant and machinery, there is an addition. The addition of 1 lakh you forgot for a minute. 2 lakh को कैसे allocate करेंगे? 242 as to 123, मतलब 242 divided by 365 and 123 divided by 365. In this way we will proportionate it out. जैसे 1:2 नहीं करते हम, तो 1:2 कैसे करते हैं? 1 divided by 3 करते हैं, correct. वैसे ही 242 divided by 365. How you clear? Apportionment तक done. अभी what are the addition during the year? When you had added it into the block, You are added on the 15th of October. So 15th of October से लेके 28th of November. How many days? Do calculate it out. You had been added on 15th of October only, na? So 15th of October to 28th of November. It comes to 45 days. Correct. And then from the 29th of November to 31st of March, it comes to 123 days. Correct. So that new plant का जो depreciation है, it should be allocated between both of them, not in the ratio of 242 123. It should be apportionment between them in the ratio of 45 as to 123. Because asset has been used by the proprietary concern. This new plant has been used by the proprietary concern, not for the 242 days. It has been used only for the 45 days. Clear with it? Now do calculate the depreciation on 1 lakh. There is a half of the prescribed rate would be applicable. So that is a 7,500. And on this 2 lakh, rate of the depreciation is 15%. Correct. So that 30,000 should be allocated in the ratio of 2 lakh के ऊपर का depreciation ना. Correct. So 2 lakh के ऊपर का depreciation कितना होगा? The depreciation on a 2 lakh would be 30,000. At the rate of 15%, it comes to 30,000. So 30,000 is to be allocated between the proprietary concern and that company in the ratio of 242 365. Whereas the 7,500, जो new plant and machinery you had purchased, that has to be allocated between the proprietary and the company in the ratio of 45 to 123. Have you clear with it? Just we'll write down the figures. 23,205, 3515. That is for the furniture. Then 19,000. Next, the depreciation would be 19,890 and the 7,500 के ऊपर का it is 2009. So this much amount of depreciation would be allowed to the predecessor one. Now successor, in the same fashion, instead of 242 will multiply with the 123. Have you clear? But there will be a one addition. If you do remember, I told you that the successor had been added a one asset during the year, that is a 50,000. Correct? उसके ऊपर का जो depreciation है at the rate of 15% नहीं, because asset has been put to use for less than 180 days. So I will get the depreciation less than half of the prescribed rate. So that would be available fully to the company. Correct? मतलब fully to the successor. So this figure I am writing out directly. You know, because I feel you are clear with this. The building amount आएगा 11,795. Correct? For the furniture it would be 1685. For the plant and machinery will have a 2 it. एक आएगा 10,110. 5491. And that new asset used only by the firm. Correct? For that, how to calculate? 50,000 may it required. It is after the succession had taken place on the 29th of November. If it purchased after that, obviously put to use क्या होगा? Less than 180 days. So the rate of the depreciation will be half of the prescribed. Correct? So how much would be the depreciation on that? $3,750. So this would be the total depreciation allowed to the successor company. That is a 32,831. Have you clear with it? This is for the building, this is for the furniture, this is for the plant. ये दो part में क्यों है? Because the plant which is added by the predecessor company, or this is a on the plant which is added by the successor company. Have you clear with it? प्रीडिसर का पूरा डेप्रिसिएशन दोनों में एलोकेट होगा. सक्सेसर का एलोकेट होगा क्या? नहीं, सक्सेसर का पूरा की पूरा किसको मिलेगा? सक्सेसर को मिलेगा. हैव यू गॉट इट? बट द प्रीडिसर का डेप्रिसिएशन वी हैड कैलकुलेटेड एज्यूमिंग अमलगमेशन हैड नॉट टेकन प्लेस. टोटल साल का डेप्रिसिएशन निकाला, फिर दोनों में बांट दिया. बट दिस इज नॉट विद द केस ऑफ द सक्सेसर. द सक्सेसर डेप्रिसिएशन वुड बी अवेलेबल टू ओनली सक्सेसर. देयर इज नो नीड ऑफ एलोकेशन. हैव यू क्लियर? Now the last point, I do understand the depreciation is very lengthy. So the last point to be discussed under the depreciation is unabsorbed depreciation. Now what is mean by the unabsorbed depreciation? If your profits are not sufficient to take the deduction of the depreciation, or there is a loss on account of depreciation, then it is to be called as an unabsorbed depreciation. So depreciation fully could not be deducted from the profit or the gain of the business or profession, that is due to insufficient profit, then it is to be called as an unabsorbed depreciation. Correct? That is dealt by the section 32 subsection 2. How to treat it out? The unabsorbed depreciation will be deducted. If the income of PGBP is not sufficient, then other head of income say you can take the set off of that, except the salary and casual income ke against you cannot take the set off of this. Next, if the depreciation still remains, means other source of income is also not sufficient to take the set off of the depreciation, then remaining depreciation will be carried forward for the unlimited period, even you not filed the ROI. Other losses will go under the set off and carry forward loss chapter. That time I'll explain in detail. But for other losses to be carried forward for the next year, you need to file the ROI within a due date. But agar unabsorbed depreciation carry forward karna hai, then there is no need to file the ROI. Even you have not filed the ROI within a due date, still you can carry forward your unabsorbed depreciation. Next, unabsorbed depreciation carry forward to next year would allow to set off against all the income except the casual income on the income from the salary. Correct? That is the rule of set off, and that can be carried forward for the unlimited period. Other business losses can be carried forward only for the 8 years. Correct? But unabsorbed depreciation is allowed to be carried forward and for unlimited period. So the priority of set off क्या हो जाता है? देखो business loss का कितना validity है? There is a validity of only 8 years. But the unabsorbed depreciation have no validity. So I will use first what? Unabsorbed depreciation? No. I will first take the set off of the losses, क्योंकि उसका validity खत्म हो जाएगा ना, इसीलिए I will take the set off of the brought forward losses first and then the unabsorbed depreciation. But the current year depreciation का deduction you have to take on a priority. Correct? So first current year depreciation, next I took the set off of the brought forward losses. After there, if there is a profit, then I will take the set off of the unabsorbed depreciation. So this would be the sequence for the set off. Have you clear with the depreciation? Lengthy, yeah, I agree with you.